people know, okay, so ito pala yung, okay. So they know, they will apply to your website, they'll chat probably on the Facebook. Pero what if you don't have a brand? Ba't mo i-discount yung budget mo? Then the more that you should invest to the sourcing channels and the job boards. And going back to the good and bad habit, that may dictate a good and a bad habit to that. Kasi baka mamaya, the recruiters would tend to, oh yeah, I have a job board naman eh. I will not be creative. Pero dapat you gotta avoid that. Kasi at the end of the day, you go back to, okay, finding the right talent. What if you have that pero hindi naman nag-generate ng right pool? Then you gotta be more creative in where you try to find the talents.
Hi everyone, this is Marie Ampelocchio of Radix HR, yet with another episode here at Breaking the Mould. So with me today are two iconic dudes that have done recruitment 18, 20 years of their time. So let me introduce first and foremost our primary guest this afternoon, DG Mendoza. There you go. And from Radix HR, we have from Alhambra, LA, California, Randy Lubiano. Hello, guys.
Hey guys, hello. Hello Marie, thanks for the
Hi
introduction.
guys.
Oo, magkakilala kayo, no?
Yeah, matagal na kayo magkakilala na. 12 years, mga ganun.
Wow. All right. So let me kick off the main question for this afternoon. The reason why we're doing this particular episode is to perhaps uncover some untold stories or secrets behind talent acquisition. Yung talagang pinakaloob-looban nito. Let's try to find out from the perspective both of the provider and that of the recruiters and that of the paradigm of the client. Pero first off, let's define things first. Definition muna tayo. What is the difference between talent acquisition and recruitment? Ikaw muna, DG.
Okay. Between the two, no? So, like the clients, they typically see na, it's one and the same. Or baka medyo modern lang yung talent acquisition. But what they don't know, talent acquisition is really the holistic approach to finding the talent.
Love that.
Recruitment is what you do. Talent acquisition is like you try to understand where to get the talent, how to find the talent, tapos making sure that it's something that you can apply in the long term. Recruitment is the short term. You find the talent, interview them, and then place them. So, ganun siya.
Linaw. I love that. Ang linaw. And I kid you not, this is something that is not oftenly talked about. People interchangeably use it.
Correct.
No?
Correct.
Is there anything, Randy, you want to add on that definition?
Well, it's almost the same talaga on how we understood kasi nga we've been together sa past company and yun ang talagang it divides the value or meaning, definition ng talent acquisition. It's the long-term process to map out yung roadmap ng specific power or department rather than yung recruitment to fill in a position or role lang. Parang ganun yung dating.
Napaka-granular, no? And I think people picked up from that. I want to understand also from the perspective of the kind of talent acquisition, shall we say, role. How do you differentiate it with a recruiter? In terms of skill sets and credibility, yung qualities, paano sila nagkakaiba?
A recruiter would only give him the vacancy, source yan, hanap, interview, then give to the candidate or to the client rather. Ang TA medyo holistic. So, ibig sabihin, may konting partnering yan, may konting understanding of motivation. Although, it's part of recruitment when you also do interview. Pero, the talent acquisition kasi you also try to understand yung needs ng client mo, needs ng applicant, and then you marry. So may konting value to the way that you actually differentiate between recruitment and talent acquisition.
Ganda. I can imagine na people will comment on this particular episode kasi again, may misnomer about how quickly they can interchange yung qualities and qualifications of the people. What have you seen are some of the bad work ethics sa
Bad work
recruitment?
ethics. Unahin na natin si Randy muna magsasagot niya. Rance, go muna.
Randy, baka pwede mong, your favorite word, kutap-tapan. What have you seen, not only with people you have worked with, so magbigay ka nga ng some examples.
Siguro for example, kung saan kami nanggaling ni DG na lang, based on a personal experience, it came from we call it VMS or Vendor Management System. A portal, which is may several clients doon that has several requirements or open roles. Madami kaming vendors talaga na maglalaban-laban for a specific role. Siguro ang bad habit na pwede mo compare into being a talent acquisition and recruiter. Ang recruiter, tingin siya sa target. For example, meron kaming target na within the week, dapat meron kaming 15 resumes na ma-send per week. Ito, ano ko lang to, personal na opinion ko to.
Okay.
So, kung mga magko-comment dyan, may iba kayo. Basta ito, personal ko lang. For me, ang recruiter would see it as a target. So, meaning, it's a numbers game. Yung lagi natin naririnig sa HR. It's a numbers game na 20 pwede mong i-send for the week. Yun ang recruiter. A talent acquisition would really dig deeper. Hindi man namin makausap yung kliyente. Meron lang kami job description na nakalagay. Ginagawa ko, I'll make sure na naintindihan ko what's more than the role.
Okay.
Ina-explain kanina ni DJ na may konting research. Kasi parang nandiyan lahat ng skill set. Walang pangalan, pare-parehas ng experience, pero it's more than the skill set. Lagi. Kung kilala mo na yung kliyente, anong type of industries, doon nagkakaroon ng separation na if a recruiter sa target nakatingin, ang talent acquisition, nakatingin yan sa dulo. Kasi sa funnel ng recruitment or talent acquisition, so sourcing or endorsement ng resume, interview, and then job offer.
Okay.
And then hire. At talent acquisition, like ako, I'll make sure kahit konti yung endorsement ko ng resume, let's say, pwedeng 15 lang, or pwedeng minsan mas konti pa, mas madalas nga konti pa. Meron kasi yung maganda rin sa papers eh.
Okay.
Nandyan lahat yung secret, no? Pero alam mo sa sarili mo as a talent acquisition, hindi yan papasa.
Okay, may ganyan. Okay.
Parang we are trained yung I na gano'n. Siyempre, si DJ ang nag-mentor sa akin niya. May-explain niya ng mas deeper. Pero ako, nung under his wing, ganun ko tinitignan. Kapag tinitignan pa ng pinaka-boss namin, Randy, bakit white end? Bakit yung iba 15, but yung iba 30 submittal?
Which is below the requirement.
It's below. Pero at the end of the day, what's important, yung sabi nga niya, you fulfill the vacancy. Doon papasok yung value. So, going back to your question, ano yung bad habits? Mga pinakaayaw namin na nakikita na typically madedevelop yung habit na yan as you go along the day-to-day. For example, yung sabi ni Randy, you start off, there's a target, 15 per week. So, yung 15 per week, number yan. Pero regardless of the quality, basta ma-hit ko yung 15. Yung mga ayoko mga just for the sake of hitting the number. Kaya the difference between a recruiter is you always begin with the end in mind. Okay, may requirement ako. Sige, at the end of the day, my objective is to fulfill that. Yung mga bad habits na, sige, 15. I-hit ko na yung 15 para hindi ako masitan ng boss ko. Pero at the end of the day, do you actually add value? Hindi
Oo. Kasi may question on quality ngayon.
Exactly. May question on quality ngayon. Diba?
Right.
Saka yung kanya-kanyang diskarte. No? Let's say, for example, ang sabi niya, hi, my name is, I am a recruiter. Yun yung mga parang, teka, to? Bulk messaging?
Nauso siya lately,
Exactly.
no? It gives a bad feeling. Unfortunately, it does.
Exactly. And I'm all for automation. I'm all for AI. But you gotta make it more personalized. That's what's lacking in the AI. I mean, you can use it. You can utilize it to help your work. But do not remove the human element.
Correct.
So the personal touch should always be there. Kaya ako lang to, sabi nga ni Randy, kanya-kanya, diba? Ang pet peeve ko talaga is if somebody messages me at ang message niya is, hi, sir, ma'am, and then intro, uy, teka, may pangalan ako bakit sir, ma'am?
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
mga ganyan. Diba?
Wow. Okay. Ang dami niyan. I mean, people hearing us will know that we're actually talking about bulk messaging, na very impersonalized. Okay. Do people sandbag? Kasi ako as an HR leader, I feel like sometimes when I have a requirement, parang may binabangko sila for a later date. How have your experience been on sandbagging numbers? Sige, Randy, mauna ka.
Sige, sandbagging, guilty ako dyan, no?
Guilty ako dyan.
Tulad dyan, it can be a bad or a good habit, depende.
Okay.
Actually, yung gusto kong sabihin, depende kung paano mo titignan yung sandbagging Ako, nung ginagawa ko siya before, I'll make sure kasi na ayoko na ma-stretch. So, kunyari, alam ko nga na may 15 resumes per week. By Tuesday or Wednesday, alam kong meron na akong 15. Alam kong meron na akong 15. So, So, ang gagawin ko niyan, nakadraft na yan, na everyday meron akong 3 isi-send or 4.
So what do you do with the rest of the days?
Ang question ko kasi sa sarili ko noon, pag ba sinend ko to agad ng Wednesday, wala na akong trabaho. Hindi naman eh, may trabaho pa rin ako, di ba? Pangit na habit yun, in a sense, na kung walang result. Ang example ko niyan, para construction worker, yung arawan sa pakyawan. Nagbayad ka ng arawan, pwedeng good. Pag nagbayad ka ng pakyawan, pwedeng bad. Kasi pwede nilang patagalin or pabilisin eh.
Correct.
Diba? Depende kung ano mo siya titignan, as long as may result for me.
Okay.
Doon mo malalaman kung ang sandbagging is a good habit or a bad habit.
Do you agree,
Okay, so ako...
Boss DG?
It can be a good habit or a bad habit, sabi ko naman kanina. No? So to follow through on that, Marie, to run this point, so let's say yung metric mo 15. Sige, may naka-reserve ka na for the week. Sige, naka-schedule delivery ka na, 3 per day. It becomes a bad habit if after you've done it, you do not allocate your hours to more productive things.
Absolutely.
Diba?
There you go.
And that's a bad habit. Kasi okay, ginawa ko na, tapos pagkagawa mo, tutulog ka.
Oh.
Parang it doesn't make sense. Pero, it becomes a good habit, okay, you're making things more efficient, at least individually, naka-allocate na yung ano mo for the day. Pero, yung focus mo ngayon gets more into the more valuable stuff. Do you have more time to do, I don't know, analysis, sourcing for the next report?
Absolutely.
So, kumbaga, you just have to make sure that you're able to allocate your time to more valuable stuff. Yun, kaya it can be a good or a bad thing.
Follow-through question. Are there other bad habits na na-observe nyo na pwede nating banggitin lang on this episode so that some people are aware what they are? What have you done about it if it happened to you? If not naman, maybe you have just heard a friend in the same field and we just want to say, hey, these things happen at the back end. Meron pa ba other than sandbagging?
Madami. Balik tayo sa metrics lagi. Kulang ka ng 1, 2 resume bago mo ma-hit yung 15 mong target. So, gagawin mo yun, dahil nga vendor management system nun, walang QC nun walang quality control. Ang makikita mo lang doon, may nag-submit, may nag-endorse. Makakount lang siya as 1 resume. Regardless kung the resume is a fit or not. Okay?
Oh.
Naninumero ka na eh. Nalagyan mo na
So
yung
this is
numero
talaga,
mo.
ito yung pure numbers game
Oo.
talaga. Kahit hindi qualified yung CV, papasok mo siya
Correct.
ganon.
So para ma-hit lang, okay, para hindi ka questionin ng boss mo, sige, lagyan ko na to kahit isa.
Ang mangyari nun, meron akong mga kilala, hindi ko na lang din pangangalan ng Randy siguro. Oo, no? Gagawin niya kahit ano yan, kunyari ang yung hinahanap network engineer, kahit siguro yun, gagawin naming
Network
engineer.
Oy, guys, ano yan ha? 10 years ago pa yan ha? So, hindi na namin gawain ngayon yan.
Ano, that's a long time ago.
Hindi namin gawain.
Absolutely. Just good to kind of talk about it because I'm sure other people might still be doing it in some way or form. I hope
Tigil
not.
nyo na yan. Kung kayong mga gumagawa niyan, huwag
Yan,
nyo gawin
meron-
yan.
May call
Alam
for...
na namin yan. Huwag kami.
Hindi kayo makakawala sa amin. Hindi. Galing kami dyan.
Oo, correct. Okay, those are the bad habits. Pero I always hear, halimbawa, people thanking like a great interview, Randy or you. How do you get that kind of accolade? Diba? May iba dyan, pagka-interview, it's just a process. Like,
Yeah.
how do you make people appreciate the time that you've spent with them?
Okay. So, this is from experience. I'm not discounting the fact na may kanya-kanya yan. No? So, at least for me, I think the reason why people appreciate the work that we do is because, personally, I've been more transparent to them.
Wow.
Transparent meaning to say, the very onset, you already manage so ilan yung interviews na i-expect mo.
Okay.
Ito yung rank nung role. Kasi again, you gotta marry like what the motivation of the applicant and what the company is looking for. So doon ka hahanap ng balance.
Tama.
It may mean na kahit walang match, pero they've had a good experience, appreciate nila yun. Ako, and for a fact, I'll tell you something. I had an experience before where in-interview ko siya, in-endorse ko siya, kino-coach ko siya prior ng interview. Hindi niya nakuha yung role. Pero, hindi ko siya na-hire. Pag pumunta kayo sa LinkedIn page ko, you get to see, nag-comment siya doon kahit di ko siya candidate. Nasabi niya, I've appreciated the process.
Wow.
Kasi, naging transparent ako doon sa what to expect about the role. So, it's all about transparency, managing expectation. It's more of that. And ako, consistent to sa akin, basta you have to make sure that you put your clients in the center you would know what to do. Don't forget for TA, ang kliyente mo hindi lang iisa. Hindi lang yan yung BU na sinusupport mo or client mo.
Right.
Ang kliyente mo pati aplikante.
Okay.
So dalawa yan. So two-prong yan. Yun yung titingnan mo.
Oo, ito yung the main stakeholders mo.
Yes.
Oo.
So sila lang.
Tama. I agree with that. Ikaw naman, Randy, I know you've gotten a good amount of accolade also. How was that for you? Kung si DG is more on transparency and alignment na pinapresent niya sa candidates niya, how have you gotten these accolades from your own candidates?
I think it boils down to transparency. But what goes through that transparency is that both the client and the talent or the candidate, you walk them through the journey. Regardless kung ano yung maging output, kung ano yung kalabasan ng interview nyo, you make the candidate or talent feel na hindi pa man nangyayari, valuable na siya.
Right.
Bago pa siya pumasok sa interview ng client, na-empower mo na siya, yung transparency na sinasabi ni DG na ito yung mga posibleng mangyari. Kumbaga, kahit na bumabangko ka pa lang sa prospect, you're banking on the prospect, binibigyan mo na ng high value. Balik tayo sa mga unang tanong mo, yun yung nagsiseparate talaga sa talent acquisition dahil it goes deeper than the interview of just matching the skill set. No? You match the value, you match yung ano yung important din sa talent, kung mamamatch mo ba dun sa culture din ng kliyente. Yun yung sinasabi na Mary ni DJ kanina. If you have a better understanding ng kliyente, then you have a higher percentage to really have the right candidate for that particular client.
Right. Okay.
And then you walk them through the journey. And then yung ang dami ko rin gano'n, hindi sila na-hire. Pero in a sense, parang ako yung recruiter of choice nila na, oy, open ulit ako, Randy.
I love that. No? Parang naging go-to ka, no?
Correct. Parang kang agent.
I know, in some way or form, you feel like an agent kasi talagang they trust you with their career. There's some people, they trust you with their life. Ito, they trust you with their career.
Correct.
Okay. Another question that I have is, kasi you've seen an age where a decade ago, ang daming tools na ginagamit sa recruitment. And now, a lot of things have been digitized at this point. So, what is the difference when it comes to yung sourcing, allocation, and budget? Kasi now, companies are removing or reducing some of these budgets kasi nga, it's far easier. Kasi nga, digital world na eh. Anong opinion nyo about that?
Kung 12 years ago tayo nag-uusap, the way we source talent was very guerrilla.
Tama.
Kanya-kanyang diskarte yan. Like, you gotta be more creative. You look at the character references in the CV. You'll map out the talent coming from one CV. You'll get the reference. That was 12 years ago. And that was very manual, on top of the job boards, etc. Honestly, they shouldn't discount the sourcing channels at the moment. It still should be there, but you gotta identify which one works for you. And ang dami dyan.
Ang dami.
Ang dami dyan. So, it doesn't necessarily mean na, kunwari, sourcing channel A may work for companies ABC. Hindi, that doesn't work that way. There may be number one, pero there are instances na baka hindi siya yung number one mo for other one. Pero ang advice ko is, do not discount the fact na a sourcing channel is very important. Yes, digitalized na siya. We have a lot of ways on how to get talents from. But you got to have the brand.
Okay.
Kasi even if you discount all the automation and all the technology, but if you do not have the brand, then you gotta invest more on the ano. Pero if you have the brand, kahit less on sourcing channel, kasi you attract the right talent eh.
Correct.
Diba? So you have the brand,
Which is
people
very
know.
crucial and important, right?
Right. People know, okay, so ito pala yung, okay. So they know, they will apply to your website, they'll chat probably on the Facebook, pero what if you don't have a brand? Ba't mo i-discount yung budget mo? Then the more that you should invest to the sourcing channels and the job boards. And going back to the good and bad habit, that may dictate a good and a bad habit to that. Kasi baka mamaya, the recruiters would tend to, oh yeah, I have a job board naman eh. I will not be creative. Pero dapat you gotta avoid that. Kasi at the end of the day, you go back to, okay, finding the right talent. What if you have that pero hindi naman nag-generate ng right pool? Then you gotta be more creative in where you try to find the talents.
Tama. And ikaw, Randy, what's the most inexpensive way to recruit? What's the cheapest way to recruit?
Yourself. Ikaw yung tool, ikaw yung produkto. Again, yung AI, the system, the new tools, it would be helpful kung ang daming data dyan. Pero kung hindi mo alam paano gamitin yung data na yan, magkamali ka ng post sa job board, maling talent din agad ang makukuha mo. So, you need to identify, especially know yourself.
Which leads me to a very, very good question to ask, which is hireability. I think one of the mark of a great talent acquisition person, in whatever capacity or level that person might be, is somebody you can hit the mark based on the hireability rate. Pero paano mo natuturo yon? Years ba yan of experience? Kasi ultimately, it cannot always be a numbers game. You have to
Correct.
hit the mark. So, what are some of the factors that you have used to make sure that yung hireability is at its highest or higher level?
Hireability meaning yung hit rate mo to fulfill
Yes.
demands.
Na spot on. Meaning, you did not have to do a rework.
Kasi
Base
nahanap mo
dun,
yung tamang
nahanap mo na agad yung tamang talent.
Conversion.
Conversion. O hitting the mark right away. Kasi maraming akong nakita, nakatrabaho na nahirapan sila to hit the mark right away. But recently, I'm happy to note na some of our clients in Radix HR, nabanggit nila that the hireability of our talent pool has been at its really good level.
Okay.
Oo. Pero how do you get to that is I think something I want to share with our audience.
Siguro for me, at least to answer your question, I think it's from experience and trying to better understand ano ba yung hanap ng client mo.
Tama.
And being on the consulting side, you gotta have value to your clients.
Yes.
No? And kahit na sinasabi mo na you're a third party outside of their organization, and that's like really what you have to bring to the table.
Yes.
Trying to understand ano ba yung culture nyo, ano yung values nyo.
Yes.
Kasi that's where you're gonna find the match outside. Kasi some people might see TA na, tick box item, ito yung binigay. No, it's not that. So there's like an unwritten rule on the JD or unwritten thing on the JD na, the talent should match the values. Hindi nakasulat yun, pero the talent should match the
Absolutely.
values.
Absolutely.
So that's where TA would need to identify. May mga certain questions ka na, ano yung motivation mo? Are you exploring? What do you value the most? And dapat magmamatch yun dun sa values ng client mo.
Correct.
And then in turn, yung hireability mo would go into the high speed. Kasi, one, your client will trust you more.
Yes.
That's a way that they'll give you more demand.
Yes.
Diba? Kasi yun yun.
Yes.
Okay, so alam na pala ni Team Radix yung
Exactly,
talent. Okay,
exactly,
so sila na.
right,
Diba? So
right.
ganun siya. And that's from experience. I'm not saying na in one meeting, naintindihan mo na. No, it's not. So it's a series of meetings, experiences with the client. That's why I do not want to call vendors. They
Well
are
said.
partners.
Love
They're
it.
not vendors.
Love it. Love it. Anything to add on that, Randy?
Kahit tayo sa Radix, I always say, when you collaborate with Radix, hindi ka order taker. Alam ni DG yan na, laki ako dyan kay DG. So, hindi ka pwedeng pinaupo ka sa table, uupo ka lang doon. You need to say something. Kasi yun yung added value as a partner. Kasi kung vendor ka lang, sige, magsasubmit na lang kami ng marami kami. Yun ang nagiging bad and good habit ulit. Na dinala ka dyan, magiging bad habit kung magiging order taker ka. Kasi you just wanna hit the target. Pero if your mindset is being a partner, you will say things what would be relevant and helpful sa scalability and long-term goal ng kliyente. If you understand those situations, pati yung mga paradigm ng kliyente, the talent is easy. Sa dami na talent na yan, again, parang data lang din yan. Ang dami niya. Pero if you know how to use it, if you know how to find, because you have this particular data na given ng kliyente, it's easier for you to find the right fit.
Parang nawala pa yung magic and spark.
Oo,
No? Kala ko, meron tayong
Konting yan sinasabi ko sa'yo, Ranzi.
Oh,
Masyado ka
masyadong
naging
tama.
transparent to dahil mo sinabi. Secret nga yun. Dahil mo sinabi. Joke lang.
Bugso ng damdamin. So, ito, quick questions na. Kasi, yung without explaining, I will ask you like 2 or 3 questions like still about recruitment and talent acquisition. Gusto ko yung halimbawa top 1, top 2, just in your mind, what pops in your head or what is in your mind the best answer or solution to that question. Example, in your experiences, what are the top 2 sourcing channel? You first, Randy.
Wag specific tol.
LinkedIn.
Yun na. Specific mo pa. Okay.
Oh, and?
LinkedIn and network. I mean, personal network.
Yeah.
Okay. In your case?
Ako, I'll agree. So LinkedIn, sige na, specific na. LinkedIn is something na kasi free. It's a professional network. You can
Yes.
Second would be referral.
Referral,
So
ganda.
referral is always something na
Talaga.
it's free.
Right.
Laway lang puhunan mo.
Right.
Kapag naganda experience nung hinire mo, yun yung pinag-usapan na kaya mong pasangahin yun.
Right.
So that person can actually bring in more talent, similar capacity, capability. So,
Ganda. Okay.
LinkedIn, baka naman.
hindi baka pwede, alam mo na.
Okay. Another question that I have is that to be or not to be a technical recruiter, because I know you were both in both sides of the coin. So would you stay being a technical recruiter, which is, by the way, hard to find talent here in the Philippines and also very few? Or would you be on the other side, kumaga, general recruiter or talent acquisition person? Yeah.
You go with your passion. I'll answer it that way. Go with
Okay.
whatever you feel is right for you.
Tama.
Ako, personally, I started off in tech recruitment
Yes.
because that was the only opportunity
Yes.
in front of.
Okay, at
Parang
the
okay,
time.
walang choice. Okay,
Okay.
sige.
All right.
But eventually, I appreciated the discipline
Okay.
because, well, depende sa tao, no? You should be a sucker for learning. Okay, sige, tech recruitment ako. Okay, ito na yung function ko. But it shouldn't stop there. It should be like, okay, tech recruitment ako, na-master ko na siya, what else is there? Ako, honestly, I'll stick with tech, but I will not stop myself from working on some other roles.
Okay.
And to tell you frankly, Marie, yung experience ko, pag may tech recruitment, raise yung hand. Sige, okay, tech role, okay, raise your hand. Pero pag mayroong inopen na finance role, I will not raise my hand. Kasi I do not know and I didn't understand that. But eventually, when opportunity presented itself to work on a rec, kasi hands full na yung team, wala kang choice. Diba? You try to learn, okay, sige, ano ba ibig sabihin, ng mga terminology sa finance. So that's where I appreciate it. Dapat you don't stop.
So you transitioned, no, from tech recruitment.
From tech, non-tech, tas executive search.
Ganda. So talagang dinaanan mo
Yes.
lahat, in other words. Ikaw, Randy, to value your experience as tech recruiter and stay on to that path in terms of liking it. Kasi I know in some companies, syempre, tama ka eh. Some people may have to dabble beyond yung area of scope nila o expertise nila because of the need of the hour. But if you have a choice lang, in your case, Randy.
Ako, lately ko na lang nakita yung value ng pagiging technical recruiter. Pero nung nagsisimula ako, alam ko na medyo mataas yung tingin sa mga tech recruiter. Parang medyo nag-set up sila pag in-intro mo yung sarili mong tech recruiter ka. Tapos kung galing ka pa mismo sa company na talagang technical company, technical recruiter ka pa, makikita mo eh. So parang ako nun, in-embrace ko siya dahil alam ko in the long run, may value siya. Pero umikot din ako, same with DG, na sa mga engineering, mass hiring, yung recruitment, kahit mga construction workers, tile fitter, lahat yan. Pero yung technical recruitment ang laging nagtatalba sa akin. So, kunyari, ayoko na sa boss ko, lipat ako, mabilis ka mga ng trabaho.
Sinong boss yun? Di naman siguro ako yan. Tol.
Siguro
Baka ako
hindi
yan.
ikaw yun.
Di
I
naman
hope
ako
hindi
yan.
ikaw yun.
Di naman ako yan, di ba?
Bumalik na ako sa kanya eh. Noong una ayaw ko sa kanya, pero bumalik ako, parang ganun. Oo.
Okay, no, good. I like the energy there. Okay, we cannot have a more extensive conversation, pero at least one of the messages at the end, that we are at the tail end of our episode, and I'm sure if we need to come up with yet another one, we'd invite you again. But what would be your best advice to individuals who really want to try this out? Kasi ako, I started my career in recruitment. Kaya I will not deny the fact that whatever I have learned along the way started with recruitment. And I love it because nandoon yung element of knowing compensation, knowing about the trainability of the individual. So parang exercise mo din siya as a recruiter, and then along the way, you develop the other skills. But recruitment or talent acquisition is not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
Yes. If there are individuals like from college that are doing their psychology courses or management courses, sabi nila, they want to do recruitment because they're a people person, they want to talk to people. What are your thoughts or advice to the kids who want to enter that world?
Kung ikaw yung college student, gusto mo mag-recruitment, dapat willing ka ng mas maraming rejection.
Wow.
No? Kasi I believe ang recruitment or talent acquisition is similar to sales, no? But you're not selling a product. Life decision yung gagawin mo sa candidate eh.
Yes.
So, you need to have the patience na mas maraming no, I'm not open for the role, versus yes, I want to hear more about it. Kung willing ka to be rejected, nasa tamang path ka kung recruitment. Based on my experience. So, yun.
Oo, very downright to the truth of the matter.
correct.
In your case,
Ako, if we're talking about yung mga fresh grads, diba,
Yes.
that would like to dabble into this role.
yes.
So, to echo on Randy's point, correct. So, there's a lot of rejections there. So, it's not only limited to your point na, oh yeah, I want to talk to people. And that's there. So, that's a given because you analyze people's personality.
Mm.
To Randy's point, yeah, you gotta take on a lot of rejections kasi not all candidates will be open. But at the same time, yung opportunity to speak. If you see that as a learning for you and something that you would consider a win, okay lang, you go
Right.
for it. Another thing would be, if you're into doing research work, parang research na naman kasi fresh grad. And that would actually help you a lot. No? If you're
Actually,
into
a lot.
it,
Tama.
Kasi,
Oo.
eto ang recruitment would really entail you to do research and understanding of the role. It's not a one-sided thing.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys mentioned that.
Correct.
All right.
Kasi, di ba, when you have the JD, it's not naman, you have the JD, then you go and find, no. You have the JD, you understand what's written on the JD before you start sourcing for talent. Kasi that's very key. If you do not understand it, kaya papasok yung calibration with the manager, ano ba yung kailangan. So,
Yes.
if you're into that, yes, go with it. Advice ko lang is, it's apart from being people-centric, but it goes as basic as finding the right talent for the right opportunity. It's matching it.
Right.
Sabi nga ni Randy, buhay ng tao yon. It's more than the buhay. It's the impact that you give. Take note ha, not only to the client, but to the individual that you're hiring. I always tell that to the people I talk to. It may sound basic, ba? Oh, finding the right talent for the right opportunity. Yeah, it sounds basic, but if you dig deep, malalim yun. Ha? Malalim yun. It's not a simple, oh, nahanap ako yung match. Hindi. You hanap, you check ano yung motivation niya and value. Does it match? Then yes.
Tama.
Yun. Akala mo lang mababaw yun, pero malalim yung impact mo.
Tama.
So yun lang naman.
Tama. Pwede bang mag-last question ako sa'yo as our
Sure.
guest? Last question. In this world that we live in, where equal employment opportunity abounds and talks about DI, I cringe sometimes when I see qualifications na sinasabi male or female. They mention about the age. They mention about the degree. In many roles, okay yung degree, especially if it's a medical, engineering field. Pero there are roles that are, I would say, very tactical or transactional, which does not require a degree. So what are your final thoughts on companies that still do that?
Diversity?
That still do that up to this day and age?
Okay. It's not a trend, but it's something that is picking up at the moment.
Yes.
Diba? Like diversity hiring.
Yes.
You gotta make sure that equal opportunity kayo.
Yes.
Going back to what I said, matching the right talent for
Yes.
the right opportunity. If you notice, it's simple. Walang nakasulat doon na matching the gender to the right.
Tama.
No, it's not. It's not.
Oo. So even PWD, qualified dyan.
So long as the person is able to do the job, the motivation is a fit, then you go for it.
Tama.
Of course, syempre, yung mga technicalities dyan, like if you're gonna hire for a PWD, technical things such as, the building should be PW friendly.
Absolutely naman.
And we go into that. Generally
Yes.
speaking, to those siguro na who'd put the gender, or
Yes.
like wag nyo nang ilagay yung gender. Kasi at the end of the day, does it add value ba if it's a male or no? It does not. Diba? At the
Exactly.
end of the day, what you're looking for is someone who can actually do the job at a high level. Yun yung hanap mo.
Absolutely.
Diba? So yun, that's where it should be.
Yan. Yan ang gusto ko. Yan ang parting words na gusto kong very strong at the end of this entire session. Okay, that's all that we have at this point in our episode of Breaking the Mold, talking about recruitment and talent acquisition. I hope marami tayong points or pointers na naibigay sa inyo. For us to go deeper, there's a lot that we can go from here. Pwede pa natin ito mag-part 2. No? But at this point, let me thank our internal strategist, investment and branding lead, Randy Lobiano, and of course, this man who is absolutely amazing, has 20 years of experience, has, I would say, a full-fledged talaga experience in talent acquisition with big corporations here in the Philippines. So, DG Mendoza,
Thank you.
maraming salamat.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's all that we have for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.